All right, now we live for real this time? Maybe. Well, now it's spinning again.
Just thinking. Let's see.
I think you're on maybe this time.
I think we're going live.
I think we are now.
Yeah.
I think you may need to fire your producer and get someone.
Nah. All right. Yep. We just went live. So should we be able to watch the live video? So there we are. Hey.
Oh, hey! Look at that. We can actually see now.
And I shouldn't have
And I can hear
on.
myself.
All right. So now that we're live, because we had a little hiccup live stream, it's happened a couple times now as we're learning how to do some of this stuff. My name is Sean Walsh, and I'm the Emerging Services and Technologies Librarian here at Madison Public Library. And with me is the incomparable
Charlie, and I'm the Guiding Ohio online learning coach here at the library as well.
All right. So Charlie's here with us with a grant. So that's how Charlie's around. That's why he's the Guiding Ohio and not the Madison Public Library. But he's with us at the Madison Public Library. So this is our live trending tech, talking tech. We'll talk about news that we find interesting in technology. We'll talk about things we find funny sometimes. And we'll talk about some of the products and services that you might find interesting from the library that has kind of a technology spin to it. We're always open for questions, so feel free to put questions in the chat. We're still working out a way for people to call in. Not quite there yet, but soon you'll be able to call in, and we'll be able to work with you live. And you can also book an appointment with Charlie. Charlie, talk about a learning coach appointment while we're getting started.
So you can take the time to schedule an appointment with me for an hour here at the library. I can help you with anything on the lines of computers, obviously computers, smartphones, tablets, apps that you may not know how to use that much. To certain limitations, obviously. Certain things I can't do.
Yeah, there are certain things that we cannot do. We cannot come to your homes. We cannot do anything.
He knows that better than me.
Yeah, we cannot come to your homes. No, we cannot fix certain pieces of technology, but we can tell you how to get them fixed. So if there's someone out there that can help you need them, help get them fixed, we can do that with you. So okay.
And you can help with library apps and non-library apps, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We can help with this. Basically, if you bring us something, if we don't know how to fix it, we'll help you find a way to find someone who does. It's pretty much that simple. So I'm just posting out. Join us live. Yeah. I don't know, Charlie, if you want to share on your page real quick, join us live.
I don't know if I'm even logged in.
You logged in? Okay. So while Charlie's getting into Facebook, I'll read a couple of news stories.
No, I'm good.
You good? All right.
Should be.
So kind of the big thing, make sure to turn your volume down so we don't have to hear ourselves.
Yeah.
So what's going on right now is the E3 Expo. So that's the Electronic Entertainment Expo. So this is really where all of the video game companies and some of the technology folks do their big debuts. So you'll see stuff released from Nintendo, Xbox. I think, Charlie, you're going to talk about some stuff from Atari, maybe?
Yes.
Some good old Atari stuff. So go ahead and do your thing.
All right, let's do Atari real quick.
You want to do Atari?
So, Atari really didn't show up to E3 this year.
Sorry.
But, it's all good. It's on the same topic.
Same topic, okay.
So, Atari, 2600 from years and years ago.
Yeah, don't go too far back there, because I had one.
So, Atari is releasing another console. But it's not just a console. It's also a Windows-ish PC.
I think you said you could put Linux on it as well?
Yeah, you can put anything on it operating system-wise. So you can put Chrome, you can put Linux, you can put Windows, whichever.
Yeah.
And you can play classic Atari games on it. But you have to choose one or the other when you're using it. But you can easily swap back and forth.
So it has like I'm seeing the screen. Yeah, it has a computer there. So it has the Atari joystick that I'm very familiar with. That has like the button and the stick part.
The singular button.
And then it has more like a wavebird, almost like kind of like what I'd see in maybe an Xbox or PlayStation controller.
Yeah,
That's
it
cool.
looks very modern and it looks very cool.
Yeah.
Though people don't like the price tag on it for.
Well, what's the price tag, Charlie?
Well, so if you want one that has a controller, well, technically two controllers because they have one that's similar to an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
$400. And that's rounding it from the $399 that it has it marked on wherever it is.
That's fascinating.
But that's also, I think, the wood version of
The
it.
wood grain one.
Wood grain.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. The wood grain Atari brings back some good memories for
But
me.
I like the wood grain from this one too.
Yeah, it is nice. It's very nice.
I mean, it's a small spot on it, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, but still. So, because I can't remember what the price point was for the, like, I know someone did a conversion at one point and like said, you know, what some of the original ColecoVisions would cost, and they were in a couple $100s. When you took them and moved them to like today's rates for things. So even though it was like it was $40-$50 at one point.
Yeah.
We're much higher than we were at that point.
Oh yeah.
So did you share it yet on Facebook?
I'm getting there.
Okay. So keep talking about Electronic Expo. So again, after this exposition gets done, you'll start seeing more games coming out from our friends at Nintendo, Xbox, Microsoft, and Sony. But you'll also start seeing things like some more VR gear coming out. You'll see new graphics cards for your computer, memory. Some of those things all kind of show up about this time. Anything that has to do with gaming will kind of get wrapped up and released around now. In the past, they've done some other kinds of experiential things. This was the first time we saw the Kinect was at E3, which then ended up being moved from the gaming space into other spaces for virtual reality as well as mapping things. So some of this technology starts in games and moves on into other places. So while Charlie's, you shared on your Facebook page?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So I love physics, I love science, and I like liquid crystal stuff because liquid crystal engineering happens a lot in Kent, Ohio, and I'm a Kent grad among other places. So they've come out with this, I got to read it right, ultra thin liquid crystal metal lens. So it's a hybrid of a metallic as well as a glass type lens that when you put current to it, you can use it to focus. So the lenses on my glasses are a certain kind of grind, okay? So you've got like a concave, convex. So like when you're looking through a lens for a telescope or a microscope, they're made to go only one way. Mm-hmm. So you ground it so that it goes one way to either make things larger or bring things closer to you, make something further away look larger. Where with this particular crystal, this liquid crystal, you apply electricity to it and it can change its shape. So I could have a single device that can be both a microscope and a telescope.
Okay.
So kind of thinking through this, it changes how we do like lenses on phones. Yeah. So now I can have a macro, so I can take the great up close shots, or I could have a telephoto the size of my phone lens. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking these. I don't know if you've ever seen them like when you watch the Super Bowl or any kind of big sporting event. So they got those guys with those gigantic lenses that cost thousands of dollars. Yeah, you can do all that with a small piece of liquid crystal. You can just kind of bend it with electricity. And so this changes for lenses for like cameras and phones, but let's think about contact lenses.
Yeah.
You almost become a superhero at this point. So eagle vision and like you can zoom in.
Yeah.
It's kind of true.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool, but I could see it as helping folks out, so you have trifocals. Yeah. Those are in my opinion, some of the hardest glasses for folks to wear. Because you've got one lens, you've got for this, you got one lens for this, and I always see people with like trifocals doing this a lot when they're using computers.
Yeah.
What if literally the glasses, the contacts adjust? So like, I'm looking at a computer screen, so now it's my bifocals.
Yeah. I'm
now looking at a mid-length thing, so now it's the middle lens. Now, I'm driving a car and I need to read the sign down the road. Mm-hmm. My lenses adjust fluidly. Yeah. Just like our eyes kind of automatically adjust, the contacts would do that, or the glasses would do that. So I think this is a cool technology, and the fact that it's liquid crystal. So liquid crystal, you got super thin, wafer thin, So my glasses aren't terribly thick, but they're thick enough, and it'd be nice to have paper thin glasses. Yeah, I'll never do contacts because I got I don't want to touch my eyes. It kind of freaks me out. Yeah. But it'd be nice to have thinner, lighter glasses. I can tell you, by the end of the day, sometimes they weigh a ton. So what else you got in the queue there, Charlie?
All right, let's do.
And anytime there's questions, please throw them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
So just watching.
All right,
watching the stream here.
Let's do for your PC VR people out there, or Facebook Quest VR people out there. Facebook is not trying ads in Oculus VR. From what I can tell, it's nothing major right now because obviously they're still testing it out.
Ads, okay.
Yes, which you know how the ads go.
Well, I'm just thinking the whole point of VR is to get away from everything.
Yeah.
And I've seen several ads in games. I can't think of what baseball game it was that they found was using a lot of network, doing a lot of network traffic, because what was happening is it was live live updating the ads in the baseball stadium. So when the company lost the contract for having the ad on the wall on the they switched out with somebody else. So the game manufacturer was making money not from just you and I buying the game, but like these advertisers who then would have to pay to keep their ad in the game. It's crazy. So I could see that, but like a giant pop up. I'm Star Wars nerd, so I know you are too. You're fighting Darth Vader, and you're doing the whole thing, and then ad pops up, Geico, and I'm like, no.
Well, I don't think it's going to be those types
invasive?
of games. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's going to be more your sports games or like at the very beginning of the game, very end of the game, that kind of thing. So it doesn't destroy the immersive experience. But like this one, I see it has like the barriers for like a sports stadium. Yeah, and it's up on the barrier.
It's up on the barrier. It's up on the wall.
So it's kind of like
it's not any different than the game I was just talking about.
Yeah, or like like how the NBA usually has like all the ads running across, or like soccer. Yeah, has like the banners that go all the way around.
I love the soccer things because the way they change.
Because they all come up. That's basically what I'm thinking they're going to try to do with it. But so far it doesn't seem to be horrible at this point. But obviously, since they're still testing it, they're taking, obviously, feedback and all this kind of stuff. I mean, personally, as a VR person myself, I don't want it. Because, I like ad-free stuff. And I hope they don't make it so you have to pay for it later. But, I mean, hey, good for Facebook. I guess they're trying to get ads on things now.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that Facebook owns Oculus, basically.
Yeah. I think a lot of people didn't realize that until they realized with the new Quest that just came out, it says Oculus from Facebook on the box now. So
it's interesting who owns what. Like Facebook owns this
nowadays. Yeah.
Microsoft owns this. Sony owns this. As far as the gaming sphere.
Yeah.
But then you like go into other places and you're like, oh, what do you mean? Tesla owns this, and this. I mean, they make cars. Well, no, they make roofs. And they make roads, and they make all kinds of things.
They make a whole slew of things, and you don't realize it until you really start looking at it. Yeah. Or you start looking into other things, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw an ad for Tesla's like home battery backup. So you know how like you have a generator for the house?
Yeah, like the home generator.
Yeah,
so it said it's going to be a battery.
It's a battery. Yeah, and a couple companies are selling them, like the Generac, I think, you're selling them. It's an interesting concept. Yeah. And you can hook your your solar to them if you had solar, or some of your other kind of generating things if you have wind power, water power, or just regular, pull the power from the grid and store it for when the lights go out. So I think that's kind of cool. But like, okay, it's Tesla, so are they putting all their effort into each product, or are they just kind of like doing a little bit here, a little bit there? That's always been my problem with Google.
Well, that was the same. That's what I found out with like their Starlink. Yeah. Internet service that Tesla just came out with. It's okay at best. Yeah. But it's satellite internet.
Yeah. Satellite internet's always. I mean, I've used satellite internet. We used to use it to connect bookmobiles and stuff at another library. It's always weird because you lose your internet. Just like you lose TV, it's weather-based. You're still trying to shoot something up through the sky to hit one of the EchoStar sats, which have been there
compared
since the 80s.
To your cable connections and all that kind of stuff.
Which get hit by the backhoe virus when the guy down the street with the backhoe digs it up. But
that's usually the only time. But like
or the trees knock it down. Yeah.
But usually that's the only time you have issues with like cable ones. But like satellite, it's everything can affect it.
I've had some good experiences with satellite. I've been terrible experiences. They're not very good for gaming for a long time. There's a lot of latency. Yeah. But if it's your only choice, it's your only choice.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're out remote.
Yeah, I'm not dissing anyone that has satellite or anything. I'm just saying the whole Starlight thing or Starlink thing
Yeah.
was it was a
little hokey.
great concept, but on paper, but in practice, it's like eh.
I think I
Like,
feel like
it's
at times they're
mediocre.
spreading things too thin.
Yeah.
You know,
But
that's
anyway,
always
like
been my
you're-
concern about
yeah.
Google. Is Google, Google develops a ton of products, and then you notice they kind of collapse in on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, y'all remember Google Wave? Probably not. Very few people do. It was a product. I can't think of some of the other collapsed Google ones that I fell in love with. Well, Google Plus is a big one. I didn't fall in love with that one. I didn't fall in love with Wave either, which is kind of the precursor to Google Plus. There's a couple other Google projects I miss.
I was on Google Plus before it died, and then I was like, eh.
But yeah, I mean, it couldn't compete with its rivals. Yeah,
It could not compete with Facebook or
Yeah.
Instagram and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No.
So, a couple different places are working on increasing the size of a hard drive. So we're always
All
in the
right.
drive to make processors faster and drives bigger. You
Yes.
know, Charlie and I were talking about. I've been in technology for a very long time. So I've seen things evolve over time. I've seen all versions of Windows. I can remember fondly Windows 286 very, very fondly. No, I don't remember. I remember. I don't think it fondly, though.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was kind of cool. It was the first graphical I'd ever seen outside of the Mac stuff. But a couple different places is using graphene. Now, graphene is an allotrope of carbon. So just like you've got graphite, and you've got carbon nanotubes, and you've got diamonds, and then, graphene is somewhere in that zone. It's honeycomb shaped. So they're using graphene on the drive. Because
Okay.
graphene, like everything in that graphite kind of family, conducts electricity.
All right.
Most people don't know that pencils can conduct electricity. You can use them as circuits. And so they're using that in combination with this heating process to kind of heat up the graphene to the drive plate. So you get about 10 terabytes per square inch. So if you think about a square inch, it's not a very big,
Oh, yeah,
spot.
no.
And you figure the size of a regular hard drive platter, which is about that round,
Yeah,
give or
about
take.
so, yeah.
So 10 terabytes per square inch. And of course they're round, so square inches
Yeah.
doesn't make complete sense. But yeah, so that's a lot of density. I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting to that great density where we're starting to get to these huge storage mediums.
Well, I mean, I look at I play a lot of video games at home. Looking at some of the more modern games today, where, a game could be, 30, 40 gigs of size, but then an update comes later, it's 60, 70 gigs of storage.
Yeah.
On top of what
Those
the game
updates,
is.
those updates, kill you sometimes. That's
Yes.
what makes some things obsolete. Like a lot of Rokus went
Yeah.
obsolete because they couldn't get the updates, or smart TVs
Yeah,
were
because
obsolete
they
all
didn't
the
have
time.
the storage for
They
it.
don't have the storage for the new YouTube app or the new Netflix app or the new Hulu app or whatever. And Disney Plus didn't fit on some devices because
Yeah.
it was a big app. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but, taking that into consideration, I have two 2 terabyte hard drives at home in my computer myself, and I haven't even gone through half
Of the terabyte,
of
yeah.
one of the half of the
Yeah.
2 terabytes yet.
When you start to do video work, that's when you
when-
start
yeah,
to feel it. Like
that's
the
when it's
video
gone.
stuff we do here, like as we do the story times, as we do some of the crafting programs
Yeah.
and things like that, that takes up some storage. I'll tell you what, to keep those videos long term, because we do load things up to Facebook and YouTube and whatnot, but I still want to have the original footage to kind of re-edit it and use it later.
Yeah.
So we have a storage array, and I think that's like 16 terabytes. And even then, I'm like, wow, this won't last long.
Yeah.
So the video is big.
No, see, I'm surprised they haven't done any of that stuff to SSDs yet. 'Cause I know SSDs are slowly starting to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So the
in
difference
storage.
between an SSD and a hard drive. So a hard drive is a physical device where it's got a plate that spins similar to a record.
I mean, SSD is still technically
or
physical.
a CD. Well, the SSD is physical, but the SSD is stored like you do.
But it's more digital.
like RAM.
It's mainly like I'll tell people it's a USB. It's similar to how a USB flash drive
It's just
works.
a giant USB, which
That's
is the same
that's
as
all
RAM.
it is.
Yeah.
It's just plugged in differently, is how I put it.
Yep. Yeah. SSDs are faster. The problem is the density of an SSD. You can't quite get to that density because there's, you still can outpace that with physical things like graphite and even magnetic film and stuff. But we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. So North Carolina State University, speaking of storage, this is kind of cool.
Uh-oh.
So probably everyone's had their biology class at some point where they talk about DNA.
Yes.
So it's, the building blocks, the structure of me and you, and how I am me and you are you, and Miss Melanie's Miss Melanie over there. So DNA doesn't have to necessarily be the structure of a bird or a person or whatever. It is a chemical, okay?
Yeah.
And so the folks in North Carolina are using it as a storage medium for data. Like a Word doc can be stored within DNA. Because DNA has, this innate properties of storing huge amounts of data, because you figure to make a me, make a you, make a whoever, that's a lot of data, to decide, our hair color, shape, eyes color, all that stuff, skin tone, whatever. That's a ton of data being stored. And so that unto itself is mind-boggling. So if they can kind of get to the point where they're getting this DNA stored, if you think about it, we would have these DNA drives.
Yeah.
Which to me that sounds like a jar of jelly.
Yeah.
I've seen DNA. It kind of looks like jelly when you distill it out of things. Under the microscope, it looks like gelatin to me. Think about that. So like, is this vat? But I can also think about storing data within our bodies. Maybe there's a strand of DNA that's in my arm that has all of my passcodes. Then it'd be really hard to hack a computer if you don't have my arm. Then again, you can cut my arm off too, which would be terrible for me. But it's kind of a cool process. Now they were having trouble like doing things like previewing files.
Oh.
So right now the way they kind of do DNA, think about it like a cassette tape. So you got to start it and then you got to play it all the way through. Okay, so like data tapes and stuff. That's the big problem is you got to start it and play it all the way through. So they finally got to the point where they can like do a preview and say, oh, well, this is what this file is, and give you like a thumbnail image of what it would be. Before you'd have to just literally play it back and create the doc, create the image, create the video, whatever out of the DNA. Now they're getting to the point where they can kind of do like previews and get in and like look at it and mess with it a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're at file level right
there.
now. Yeah, it's kind of spooky. It's spooky in a cool way. So what else you got there, Charlie?
Well, Jaguar Land Rover is developing a hydrogen-powered vehicle.
Alrighty. Those are two names of vehicles I can't afford, but okay.
Yes. Yeah, when I read the headline, I was like, oh, okay, luxury brand. That makes sense. Because they have more money usually to work with.
Yeah, neither you or I are going to be driving a Land Rover around anytime soon.
But I did hear that Toyota and like Honda are working on similar things with it too. So, cars that we may still be able to afford later.
Yes.
But but they're planning on testing it this year at some point too. I don't know how quickly or what process they're using, to build it. But they're just talking about how like they want to make sure that they make it to this point at this year. Like I think it was like 2036. They want to have the end of emissions for that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, the coolest thing about a hydrogen vehicle is basically the emissions from it is water. Because when you combust hydrogen, you combine it with oxygen, you make water. So that's kind of nice. Other than the roads are always going to be wet, and the whole hydrogen blowing up thing is always is a little. But then again, if you crash a Tesla, those lithium batteries are highly combustible. I don't know if do you ever see the? I think maybe it was a Top Gear where one of the hosts crashed a battery-powered vehicle.
Yes.
And it was a horrible fire, and he could have gotten really seriously injured. He was lucky that he got away from the vehicle, but the thing burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
Not to discourage anybody from hybrid vehicles or battery-powered vehicles, but I am a little scared of them, in all honesty. I've seen lithium batteries do silly things.
I mean, I go back to the Note 7?
Oh, yeah. The phone that kept catching on
Literally.
fire. Yeah.
Because it was drawing too much?
It was drawing too much, and then, the problem with some of the chemicals that we use for these batteries is they are innately flammable.
Yes.
And they're flammable in oxygen.
Yeah.
All around us.
Boom. That kind of thing.
Boom.
Which is not good. But at the same time, I look back at the Note 7 with the lithium-ion batteries, and then I look at Tesla's, and I'm like,
It's a lot bigger Note 7.
Note 7?
Yeah, I'm not knocking Tesla. I mean, you know, I would love to ride around in one and see what it was like. You know, I think I would find it a little weird not hearing the engine. Mm-hmm. You know, but I'm fascinated by them. Every once in a while when I drive, there's off of Route 77 as you're heading down towards West Virginia. There's a gas station, and then there's a Tesla charging station.
Oh, they have a charging station?
Yeah, and so I love to watch the Teslas roll up and plug in and charge.
I'm still waiting to see one come up here somewhere.
There's a couple of people who drive around Teslas in the area here.
I know one of, I think it was someone I went to school with, their parents had one.
Oh, yeah?
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, where do you charge it?
Well, I'd love to get a charging station
only have, like,
here at the library.
Yeah, like put in like a corner
because there's some grants that you can get. So
Yeah.
the library wouldn't pay for it necessarily. But there's some grants that would be able to install the charging station and actually subsidize or pay for the power, or the user pays for the power. So the library, of course, it uses power from the grid, but the library doesn't pay for it. The user pays for it, or
so it's kind of like a
Tesla
gas pump,
subscription.
gas pump for power.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, or some people have a Tesla subscription; they can plug in anywhere, and it just builds their credit card. Or if they got an early enough Tesla, they charge for life. They can charge anywhere. They don't have to pay for it. That was kind of the gimmick initially, is you didn't have to pay for your electricity. You just plug in and charge as long as it wasn't your home.
All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'd like to get one here, and I'm still looking into grants for that, because it'd be kind of cool, to be able to say, hey, plug in your Tesla and then come check out some books, enjoy all the cool things we do at the library. Plug in your Tesla and go see a story time, or go use our create space and make something with the laser.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. So
I was gonna say, do you want to use that as your point to stop and do a couple ads, since you've kind of been doing ads?
Oh, we do ads all the time. We're living ads. So let's see, a couple ads. So I mentioned our crate space. In our crate space, we have a 40-watt laser that you can engrave into certain materials, and you can actually cut some certain materials. So you can cut certain levels of wood. You can engrave into wood. You can engrave into stone. You can remove the anodized coating off of an aluminum object or a bottle. So, for example, I'm not wearing my name tag because I took it off because I didn't want to make noise. But our name tags are done on the laser. We cut out shapes. We've made Christmas ornaments. We've made tchotchkes, keychains, things like that. So you can do fun things like that. And that's what our laser's for, is just to do small projects. We have an SLA-based 3D printer. An SLA basically means it's a liquid polymer-based 3D printer. A lot of places have 3D printers where it uses a filament, which kind of looks like weed whacker line. And that gets extruded on top of a plate and built. Ours is where it's actually a liquid, and when the build plate touches the liquid, a laser shoots up from below and cures one layer. So we're at about 1,000 micron layer density, so about 1,000 microns every time that build plate comes down and makes an object. So very, very high resolution. Not the fastest print in the world, but a very high resolution. And we clean it with just regular isopropyl alcohol. We don't have to use any kind of fancy chemicals or anything like that. It's just dip it in some alcohol until it's cured, throw it in the light because it uses UV light to cure, so I just put it in some sunshine, and your object's done. We have a vacuum former. So if you've ever seen like blister packaging, so like, the packaging on top of toys, that's done with a vacuum former.
Oh, okay.
So whatever object you put under there, it heats up a piece of malleable plastic, and when you bring it back down, it sucks it down and makes a mold of that object. So we've done soap molds. So we've made a shape, and then vacuumed down the plastic to that mold, and then being able to use the reverse of that to fill with soap or chocolate. Don't use the soap molds for the chocolate. Chocolate does not need to taste like soap. So yeah, we made holiday chocolates. We made gem-shaped soap. Gem-shaped soap. Say that 3 times fast. So that was kind of neat. We have a couple of different laminators. So we've been laminating people's vaccine cards if they have chosen to get a vaccine. So we've done that for them. We laminate all kinds of things for people. We can laminate up to 2 foot wide. We can also do cold laminating, which is where we take 2 pieces of adhesive and laminate your things. For some things like a crayon drawing, say you want to save a crayon drawing, you don't want to run that through heat because it'll just melt the crayons.
Yeah.
But you can preserve your child's crayon drawing with cold lamination.
Yes.
We have a button maker, and so you can make little round stick-on buttons like you have for sports or whatnot. You can make those all here. What else do we have that's kind of cool? Did I forget anything, Charlie? Oh, the wide format printer.
Yeah.
So we can print up to 36 inches wide on kind of a lot of different types of stock. In fact, you bring in the stock, and we can print on it. If we print from a roll, we're pretty much not restricted to distance. It's the length of the roll, so we can print off big banners or things like that. So we've got a lot of cool things in our crate space.
You got the sewing machine?
We got the sewing. I always forget the sewing machine.
The crickets?
And the crickets. I forgot about the crickets.
Oh, yeah, that someone else just said. Our colleague Margaret just had mentioned the cricket. We also do have a question. What is the cost to use these items?
Okay, so Paula, I think that's
Yes.
yeah, Paula. Hey, Paula. So the cost varies on the items. So we just do cost recovery. So for example, to use the laser, we're just doing cost recovery for the HEPA filter. More smoky things we charge a little bit more for. So it's $5 for metal and glass, and $10 for something like wood that would make a lot of smoke. The buttons we charge 25 cents?
Yeah, 25 cents.
25 cents. For the lamination, it's based on the length of the lamination, or if you use a pocket laminator,
Yeah, the pockets.
the size of the pockets. So that varies. As far as the vacuum former, the plastic for the vacuum former is 75 cents a sheet. We don't charge for the crickets. You can just come in and use the crickets yourself. We don't charge for the sewing machine.
Well, what do we do for the crickets? What do we set them up? Do we set them up with a laptop, or do they bring their own?
They can bring their laptop. They can either bring their laptop in, or we can set them up with one of ours.
All right.
So no big deal there. What else? What else do we have? We do charge 50 cents a square foot for the wide format printing. So I think that covered everything. Did I miss anything? No. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, Melanie, because I can't always see the chat from where we're sitting at. And, big thanks to Margaret out there who's watching, and thank you, Paula, for the question. So, Charlie, what else you got going on with some of your tech news?
So you know how there's Clubhouse?
Yeah.
You know how there's Discord?
Yeah.
You know how there's other multiple chat apps everywhere?
Yeah.
So, have you ever heard of Spotify before?
Well, yeah, I know about Spotify for
Exactly.
music, yeah.
So, Spotify is trying out a Clubhouse competitor called Spotify Green Room.
Wow.
So they're trying a new chat app experience from Spotify, which I don't know exactly if you can integrate your Spotify music account with it or whatever, but it's supposed to be I guess I could call it more Clubhouse than Discord more than anything, but it's just little chat rooms that you can join in on, and I see examples of a Sunday football watch party or.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see people doing watch parties on Discord or whatever. I've seen that before. I think the whole, with the quarantine and pandemic and stuff, I think we've gotten this whole what do I want to say? Everybody and the grandmother's trying to get into this whole chat thing, and we don't need that many players. Just if you got a cool product, find someone to partner with. Don't try to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. There's some really great bots on Discord to play music, so I don't need Spotify.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I use Spotify on there because I can link my account, but
yeah,
at the same time, it's if you want everyone to listen to the same thing, you either integrate it through Spotify or you can use the bots, which the bots typically use YouTube sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah,
so
they use YouTube.
Unless you tell them to do otherwise, but
yeah, I mean, you can put the bots into Pandora or Spotify. Yeah,
exactly. It's why
reinvent
this is
the
cool,
wheel?
but
yeah. So Margaret in the chat said something about charge for Cricut materials. We don't charge for materials because we don't supply materials. So come in with your own vinyl for the Cricut, your own cloth, your own paper, whatever. We'll provide you the Cricut machine. And if you need to bring in your own laptop, you can. If you need to use one of ours, that's fine. The cool thing about the Cricut is you can do all the designs in the Cricut app from home or on your mobile device, and then come here, hook up, and basically print. So it's like doing your resume and then coming here to print. Mm-hmm. So again, thanks for Margaret. Thank you, Margaret, for watching and chatting. I appreciate it.
What else is going on?
So what else you got going on? I got some stuff. Let's talk about...
Well, you can go ahead. I'll search around a little bit.
So there's a lot of different types of display technology. A lot of people are familiar with LCDs, liquid crystal displays, and then LEDs, light emitting diodes, and then there's OLEDs, which is organic light emitting diodes, which confused the life out of everyone because they thought, what do you mean organic? Well, remember, guys, in chemistry, organic is anything that's basically carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So it doesn't mean it's alive. It just means it's made out of those things. Petroleum is organic, and we don't want to chug gasoline. That would not go well. Don't try this at home, kids. So another one that's out there, I've got to get this right. I'm gonna mess this up. Low temperature polycrystalline oxide. LTPO. Doesn't that just roll off the tongue?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally can.
I can see it now. LTPO Speedwagon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlie, for laughing at the joke. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And your jokes are getting worse.
The jokes will continue to get worse, and I will just keep digging there. I've got dad jokes for years. But so these displays, you probably have already seen them because they're pretty common in Apple Watches.
Oh. Okay.
But what's unique about them is that they're extremely low power. That's why, like my smartwatch and the Apple Watches, it's surprising how long the watch will last.
For, compared to, say, your phone.
So, yeah, where
Or,
my phone
like that.
eats, because the screen is the number one thing is either the two things in my phone. The radio, so the thing talking to the cell tower, the wireless, and the screen. Those are the two things that eat battery. Everything else doesn't matter, okay? So for the longest time, these really great low-power displays were limited to a watch because they couldn't really get it to be phone size. They
couldn't make it to the right size.
There was some limitations to making all of this stuff work. Well, they finally kind of got past that plateau, and now they're over that part of the plateau, and they can start making full-size screens. We're not talking TVs yet, but we're at phone level and tablet level.
All right.
So,
well, I mean, I guess this would help the battery issue with most phones.
So, so literally the biggest problem with anybody's phone is running out of battery. When I travel, I do a lot of trail riding on my four-wheeler with friends. And you're out for 8 hours, 10 hours with no cell signal. You either turn your phone off, and hope
turn it on,
and hope you still got hope you get power and stuff like that, because you can't just leave it on. But if there's an emergency, you need to be able to turn your phone back on. This would be great. Or if I'm traveling in there's some pretty empty areas, despite what everybody thinks. You get into some parts of Ohio, there's no cell, there's no nothing, and if you leave your phone on, it drains completely because it keeps trying that radio over and over and over again. Plus, you're wasting power with the screen. If I eliminate the screen and just leave the radio into the mix, I can get a lot more power out of a battery. So I'm kind of excited about that. And in the same zone of watches, I think we continue to move further with watches. Like my watch does my heart rate. It's one of the reasons I wanted this one.
Yeah.
Some of the newer ones will be able to do glucose. So if you're a diabetic, I know some people have devices on their arms that help them talk with their watch. The watch itself can do the glucose monitoring. So you don't need any external other things. I know some people have them on their arms or their stomach or whatever to help them monitor their insulin levels and glucose levels and whatnot. So heart rate, which is pretty common at this point, but glucose is new. Temperature. So what's the first thing you check when someone's not feeling well?
Temperature.
Do they have a fever?
Yeah.
So could you imagine your phone or your watch is sending a message to your phone saying, hey, your temperature's going up.
Your body temperature is over what's recommended
and as far as
level.
we can tell, you're not exercising, right? And the ambient temperature around you isn't any different. So, hey, you might be getting sick. It'd be kind of nice to have that precursor warning to say, hey, that you might be getting a cold or the flu or some infection. So I think it's kind of cool. I mean, there's a little Big Brother-ish. I could see, your phone's taking your temperature, and all of a sudden you get a VR ad saying, hey, you might want to go get, the flu shot today. Or, hey, you might want to. Well, it's too late now if you got the flu. But hey, you want to take this over-the-counter flu drug or cold drug or whatever? Be a little creepy, but Facebook. All of a sudden, your feed is full of
you just look at your watch. Hey, you should totally get your shots. do that right
like
now.
really quickly. Hurry
yeah,
up.
quickly.
Like now.
Make it to the hospital now.
Hurry up.
Calls ambulance for you so you can get there quicker.
I do know that there's an article, and it's a while ago when they first started coming out with some of the heart monitoring watches and stuff. It actually saved a guy's life. His phone was going nuts, and his watch was going nuts because his heart rate was going nuts.
Okay.
And he literally was starting to have a heart attack, and didn't have any of the signs with his arm or his jaw or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But his heart was going, like the arrhythmia and all that stuff was going, whatever, the rhythm was all out. And his watch and his phone were telling him. And so he ended up dialing 911 saying, I think I have a problem. All my numbers are weird. And so they went and they said, oh yes, sir, you're totally going to have a heart attack. So, I mean, anything to kind of save a person's life, I'm all for.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Got anything else in your news feed?
I
got a bunch more.
What
are we doing with time? We doing good on time?
Well, since we got started a little bit late, it's about 13 minutes till it's 8 o'clock. You've been going for about 40 minutes. So
all right.
I would say maybe another 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, do you have anything more interesting in what I have on the screen?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I would rather you do that than this then.
Some days, audience, finding technology things is really hard because some of it's not interesting.
Or it's
I'm not knocking Charlie, but
I
that
know.
one was
but
bad.
a lot of it's just like, oh yeah, guess what?
Yeah.
Top 5 phones you can buy today.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Product reviews have creeped into technology news in the worst kind of way. So let's see. Do I have anything? I got a couple of pages. Look, I got a couple of pages worth of stuff because I print them out. Okay, I got a feel good. I like these feel good ones. Okay.
All right.
So I read this great article called Doug to the Rescue. So there's a gentleman who's in the film industry, and kind of his specialty is cameras mounted on drones.
Okay.
Okay, so he's doing those overhead shots, those really awesome shots that look like helicopters coming in to get the bad guy or the good guy or whatever. Well, so he used that technology, and he put some infrared sensors on there and used the drone, and he's been going out and finding animals after like wildfires. So he was down in Australia. The World Wildlife Fund brought him down in Australia, and he's flying over the outback, finding all of these different animals and helping pinpoint to rescue them. So, I mean, if you can imagine, he's sending out all these drones with these infrared cameras and finding, even small, tiny little animals. Because, I mean, especially with Australia, they've got tons of really awesome animals that we kind of need to preserve because they're only there.
Yeah.
So they're finding these little, like, mouse-sized things. And he was in California after a bunch of the wildfires more recently and was, like, finding people's cats and dogs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not even talking, like, wild animals. I mean...
we're talking about like domesticated.
I mean, I can't imagine, losing my house to a fire and then dealing with the fact that I've lost my pet. But this guy's reuniting the pets with their owners and stuff like that. So finding cats in trees. So it's firefighter Superman and Doug finding cats in trees. But I feel this is a feel good story. It makes me happy. So I'll probably wrap up a little bit. I've got one more I find is interesting. I told you about this earlier. So I read that John Deere.
Okay.
So John Deere, who started existence making plows. And their big deal was they made a plow that the dirt didn't stick to. That's how John Deere got started, all right? John Deere now employs more software engineers than mechanical engineers. So John Deere, who still makes wonderful equipment, and I don't own a John Deere. I own a different tractor, but I'm a fan of their stuff. I've always thought it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who has a fleet of John Deere combines and other things because he farms by GPS. He farms electronically. He's got a lot of acreage, so he uses every technology possible, and it kind of made sense. I mean. You get into the cab of his John Deere, and you've got your regular, all of your gears and stuff, and PTO stuff and turn and whatever. But he's got GPS here, he's got a tablet here, and he's got sensors placed everywhere, so he knows, like, this part of the field needs water, this part of the field doesn't need water.
Yeah.
Because his fields are big enough that sometimes he gets rain on part of it and not on others. So he knows where everything is. He knows the nutrient level So he can say, "Hey, I need to spray fertilizer or manure or whatever." Because I think he does mostly organic, so it's probably manure. Ooh. It's a little gross. I'm sorry, spraying manure out there. But it's really cool. I mean, so it's kind of fascinating. The John Deere, which is a very tried and true American company, has more software engineers than mechanical.
I just find it weird.
Is it a little weird? Yeah.
Because my grandpa works with a lot of tractors, and it just makes me feel like weird to think that someone like me could work for something like that. And he'd be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Software engineer." He's like, "What?"
I know in the 90s, John Deere had several self-propelled automated tractors. That they could drive around and just do plowing, and there's no driver's seat. It just goes. One of my favorites is I think it's the folks out of the ODOT in Ashtabula. So I drive 11 and 90 every day.
Yeah.
And they have this robot that goes out and mows the big inclines near bridges.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant and I think it is a John Deere because I think it's brilliant because to me it would be very dangerous to try to mow that.
Especially in a tractor.
Tractor, because you could roll it, you could get hurt.
They're almost straight up and down.
And so this thing has tracks like a bulldozer. And I watched the gentleman or the lady. It could be either one.
I can't tell when you're going 70, 80 down a freeway.
Because it's posted to 70, so I'm going 70.
Yeah.
Maybe a little faster. Not much, so please don't tell. But I love watching them. And the person will be sitting there, and it has a little joystick like a remote control car.
Yeah.
And it's going up and down and mowing and going up and down. And I can imagine, this person is now mowing all this stuff that would be overgrown and kind of problematic. Could end up on the road or whatever. So that was cool. So I think probably our last one out there. And the more I watch the feed, the more I realize how much I use my hands. I'm a hand talker. Have you noticed yet? So Amazon.
Yeah.
They have a service now, shall we say a service that they're selling to other businesses. And it's called Just Walk Out.
Okay.
And so what it is Amazon has tried this in some of their own stores. They do own some stores. And they use technology to track that you've gone through the store.
Okay.
So as you enter the store, you give them a payment information of some sort. Okay, so your credit card or your debit card or whatever payment when you enter the store. And as you take milk from the shelf and put it in your cart, it puts it in a virtual cart like buying things on Amazon. You know how you have your little cart in Amazon? The physical cart and the virtual cart mirror each other. Okay, so I'll get my milk, I get my eggs, I get whatever. I go up to, instead of having a checkout person or a self-check, okay, I stand there. It verifies that I am still me and everything is still in the cart where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and make sure you paid for it.
It just lets you go, and you've paid.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to scan anything. You don't have to touch anything.
You don't have to pull out a card for it.
You don't have to pull out a card. You either have an account, like, you have an Amazon account you use with it, or you go to a payment box ahead of time and give them your credit card information and say, okay, I am John Smith, and I'm going to be going around the store. And you don't even have to say that I'm going to go buy milk. It just detects. And so if, say, I go to buy milk, and I realize that I have bought the wrong brand of milk, because apparently, according to some people in my family, there are brands of milk you're to buy and not to buy. So I may have grabbed the wrong brand of milk and put it in the cart. I realize this to save my own skin. I put the milk back on the shelf. It is removed from my cart, virtual and physical. So it's kind of cool. It's tracking all that stuff. I find it fascinating. And I can see this in libraries too. That we just, someone just goes around the library grabbing all the books. Because we talked about this years ago originally when we were doing radio tag and books and stuff. I get all my stuff together and I just walk out the door and it's already checked out to me. And I'm not saying we eliminate those positions. I say that those positions find more meaningful work somewhere else.
Well, I also look at it as if the technology stops working, or let's say power outages.
Well, power outage, you're not gonna, nobody's going to be able to do anything.
We're going to need that just as backup instead of, you can't come in the library because you can't check anything out, and you're like halfway done.
Yeah.
And then it's like you already have a book in hand, it's not checked out yet. Oh no.
That's why we
You
have
know, that
batteries.
kind of thing.
That's why we have batteries and
Yeah.
generators. But no, I'm thinking more along the lines of, it's no more like going to the store and oh, well, there's only one register open and there's 4,000 of us.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You just go. You just once you've
In, out, done.
in, out, done. And I'm not saying that I want to get rid of all the people at cash registers. I think that they could.
Yeah.
There's a lot more meaningful work that they could do within the store or other places. There's a lot of creative people who work cash registers who could do awesome jobs of marketing the work. Making displays and whatnot. So again, I'm not saying let's fire all the cash register people. I'm just saying keep them on, just have them do something more interesting than checking out. So let's see. Anything else that's kind of out there that I think is kind of cool? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've appreciated our time together. And so keep your eyes peeled. We have lots of different types of videos up there. We have craft videos. We have technology videos. Charlie, you're going to be doing a training video.
Yes, on LinkedIn Learning, or what was recently Lynda.
Lynda.com, yeah.
Yes.
So LinkedIn bought Lynda.com, and so they call it LinkedIn Learning now, huh?
Yes.
And so with that, you can get a lot of online courses to train on different things, right, Charlie?
Yes. So if you ever used something like Coursera or something like that before, it's basically the same idea, just more with, or I would call it even YouTube, with just a lot more learning end videos, not like, game videos or crazy blog videos.
I use our I used it under Lynda. I'm using it under LinkedIn to do. There's a lot of good customer service stuff there that I've used. I like that quite a bit. I've used it for social media marketing. There's some great videos on Excel. There's some great videos on just checking the comments. There's some great. So thanks for watching, Paula. Some great videos on like Microsoft Excel, Adobe Acrobat, WordPress. So some technology stuff, but also some great videos on photography. So how to take good portraits, how to take good landscapes. Tons of videos there. I mean, more than I can count.
I know that's where I've pointed a lot of people after my learning coaches, and I'm like, I know we didn't go over a crazy ton of stuff, but, here's Lynda.
Here's Lynda to reinforce the stuff,
Or even learn something different.
Learn something different, learn something new. Because, anytime you work with a person, you can only go so far, and any skill, whether it's technology or knitting. I'm going to shout out to Margaret out there, who I'm a huge fan of. She's a knitting person, a crocheting person, and for me to learn that, I'd have to practice a lot.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to, for her, she's done it a long time. She's very good at it. She's practiced it a lot. She's very skilled. It's very impressive to watch her. Like anything, whether it's, any kind of skill like that, you have to do repetition. And Lynda, or LinkedIn, I'm going to keep calling it Lynda. LinkedIn Learning is very good at that.
That's what we knew it as.
Yeah.
And so I even call it Lynda out of spite sometimes, because I forget it's now LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of thing. We'll eventually flip it over, but for now we're going to call it what it used to be.
Yeah, I have a hard time calling certain things. I was talking to Charlie earlier about a convenience store called Lawson's. So I still call certain places Lawson's, even though I think they're now Circle K's. Because I'm a little old school there. So hey, thank you for watching, and tune in. We'll be doing this again, so feel free to tune in and ask some questions. And this will be up on our Facebook channel and YouTube for watching later. So have a wonderful day and a wonderful month, and see you around. All right. Go ahead and end the stream, please. Yay.